which looked perfectly legal. But he was fined for a hit, and the $21,000 is a weekly salary for him. This is a first offender with no history of dirty play in a preseason game on a hit that was borderline and that was even hailed by the announcers as a picture-perfect hit. Gets fined by the league 1/16 of his income. Deshaun Golston, who just signed tens of millions of dollars in free agency, gets fined $100,000, which is far less of an impact on his bottom line. That's why the NFL and all leagues need to go to percentage-based fines. I don't care if it's 5% of the game day check or 100%, but that's got to be the standard, not the physical amount. Because, let's face it, for guys like Deshaun Golston and Ndamukong Suh, who recently got fined $100,000, they can afford it. They are among the elite earners in the NFL. Rookies who are just trying to make an impact and show their coaches that they're worthy of being started, who are second round and third round picks, being fined 1 week of their pay, if not more. It's not a fair system. It's not a just system, and it needs to be amended. Now, we talked about Week 2 recap. So here are my predictions for Week 3. We're going to hope to keep up the good work going so that you too can get the maximum guesses out of the teams playing this week. Yes, as I said, we want to maximize your ability to pick the teams this week too. But before I give you my predictions, my weekly notice, I pick these straight up. I do not take the lines into account. I am not a gambling person, so if you're using my picks for gambling reasons, you're on your own. I hope that I'm giving you good advice. But remember, I have no financial outcome on my picks. I do them for fun. I call them like I see them. So, moving on. I did predict the Thursday night game right. Yeah, you taking my word for it. It was Thursday night. I'm broadcasting on Saturday. How do we know you're just not saying that? I wrote an article before Thursday doing my weekly picks. It's on Tumblr, cmstanton.tumblr.com. You can go check it out. It's all there. I had the Chiefs winning, so I've got one more win, which puts me at 26-7 overall for the season. But here's my predictions coming up for this Sunday and, of course, the Monday Nighter. We've got the Texans at the Ravens. I'm still not sold on the Ravens. They are not the team that won the Super Bowl. They are a diminished team that is putting way too much pressure on Flacco, who quite frankly is not deserved of the $20 million a year he's making. Texans win. Even though the Texans aren't playing their best football, I still like them on the road over a mediocre Ravens team. We've got an interesting game in the Packers versus the Bengals. It's in Cincinnati, and the Bengals have a much better defense. The problem is, most defenses have been completely incapable of stopping Aaron Rodgers. For my money, he is the best quarterback in the league. He's going to find the open receiver, and he's going to put up points. So the issue becomes, can Andy Dalton keep pace with the score the Packers are going to throw up on him? I don't think so. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think you're going to have monster games from Andy Dalton and A.J. Green. But I just think at the end of the day, the Packers are going to squeak one by on the road. But watch this game if you can. It should be a really, really good one. We've got the Rams in Dallas facing the Cowboys. Both teams are struggling a bit out of the gate. And I love what the Rams are doing. I like the direction they're taking. But it's in Dallas. I'm going with the home team. When teams are as evenly matched as this, I like to lean on the home side. And I'm doing that a lot this week. Cowboys at home against a tough Rams team. But the Cowboys aren't too shabby themselves, and they're pretty healthy right now. I'm giving the Cowboys the nod. And here's one that I'm looking really forward to. Falcons at Dolphins. Miami gets its first home game this year. But starting the season 2-0 and looking good doing it. They're playing solid in all facets of the game. Playing great on special teams, playing solid, if not fantastic, on defense. And Ryan Tannehill is showing to be a very capable quarterback, whether or not Mike Wallace shows up for the game. Last week he had a monster game. Week before, not so much. However, I like the Dolphins at home. The Falcons are just beat to hell. listen to this. Right now on the Falcons injury list, their starters, these are all starters. Roddy White has been week to week with nagging injuries. He's been used mostly as a decoy. He's never caught more than 3 passes in the past 2 weeks, and last week only got 2 catches for 12 yards. Sean Weatherspoon just went on the return IR with a bad foot. He was their big free agent acquisition a couple years ago to bolster that defense. He is their leader on defense, and losing him to injured reserve for half the season is going to hurt them immensely. Now, he's on injured reserve return, which means if the Falcons make the playoffs, he's going to be ready for it. But for the next 8 weeks or so, that is going to be a defense in trouble. Asante Samuel, he's unclear this week. He, even though he's up in age, is still a quality cornerback in this league. And in a passing league, you need as many quality cornerbacks as you can. And with Tannehill developing a rapport with Brian Hartline and Mike Wallace, they need all the pass protection they can get. And they might be without their best cover corner. Steven Jackson, out week 3. Thigh injury. There goes the power run game. They have some solid backups in Jacquizz Rodgers and their other and Snells, Jeremy Snells, but Steven Jackson was their workhorse. He was the one that balanced that offensive attack. Now they're not going to have balance. They're going to be a passing team going against a very good defense that should be able to stop a one-dimensional team. They lost their fullback as well, Brady Ewing. This is the guy that clears the path for your running back. And he's on injured reserve for the year. He's out. So their running game is going to be hurting this year. And against a great defensive front like Miami's, they're not doing anything without their starting running back and starting fullback. They're going to be pure passing. And for all of you out there, it's like, well, the Falcons may have lost Asante Samuel, but they can still pressure the quarterback, right? No. They lost Croy Berman for the year. Torn Achilles. Yep. Torn Achilles tendon. Croy Berman, their defensive end, out for the year. So we have got a brutalized Falcons team going against a surging Dolphins team that's looking like they can compete for the division this year. I like the Dolphins at home. I like them to keep on rolling. I think the Falcons this year have basically been getting by on the fact that everybody expects them to win. They're a brutal team right now. They're not playing solid football because they are so injured. Now maybe if they get a little healthy, they'll start looking like the Falcons of the past few years and start putting up some good numbers. But right now, I like the Dolphins in the upset. We've got the Browns at the Vikings. We're going to talk more about the Browns later. I thought this might have been a close game. Then the Browns went and traded Trenton Richardson and announced they're going to start Brian Hoyer, their third-string quarterback. Yeah, Vikings are going to smack them upside the head, and Adrian Peterson is going to have a huge day. Hopefully. The Browns' defense is still a good one, but that offense will not be able to hold on to the ball. Don't trust them. Don't want them. And for all you Cleveland fans out there, my sincerest apologies that you are stuck with such an incompetent front office. But we'll get back to you and talk about that later. And in the all-mediocre Sunday game, we've got the Buccaneers at the Patriots. I mean, God, have any two teams looked any worse this year than based off of expectations? The Buccaneers, as we discussed earlier, were touting themselves a playoff threat. Well, Josh Freeman has reverted back to that freshman year quarterback at Kansas State who had a lot of athletic ability but just didn't have the wherewithal to put together a good game. And Tom Brady is struggling through a roster full of Arena League players at best. I mean, he has got to be so frustrated. And I never thought I'd say this. I kind of feel bad for Tom Brady. His offensive roster was completely gutted. He lost quality offensive linemen to retirement. He lost his favorite receiver because the Patriots didn't want to spend the $6 million to re-sign him. He lost his 2 tight ends, one because he's a murderer, and the other one because every time he falls, he tries to plant himself on his arm and breaks it. So 2 back surgeries and 5 arm surgeries later, he's still without Gronkowski. And what do? They bring in Amendola. Well, Amendola, the man made out of glass, gets hurt again, tears his groin. He's going to be out more than likely this week. So Tom Brady is thrown to a bunch of guys that nobody's heard of and quite frankly wouldn't be starting on any other team in the NFL because they're just not that good. However, they are in Foxborough, and I like Tom Brady's chances to put up points on the Bucs a hell of a lot more than I like Josh Freeman's ability to put up points on the Patriots. I'm going with the Patriots just because they're playing the Buccaneers. Honestly, if they were playing just about any other team this week short of the Jaguars, I'd probably be leaning the other way. But the Buccaneers are so mediocre, and they are just so disappointing this year. Got to go with the proven commodity of the Patriots with Belichick and Brady. Moving on to another game that should be a lot more fun, Saints-Cardinals. I thought long and hard on this one because the Saints and the Cardinals are teams that have similar offensive philosophies. They love that high-octane offense and attacking defense because their theory is we can take chances on defense because our offense is going to put up enough points to overcome any mistakes we make. And I really wanted to pick the Cardinals for the upset. I like the fact that Marcus Colston is going to be covered by Patrick Peterson. I think that's going to give the Cardinals an edge. I like the fact that Carson Palmer has developed a rapport not only with Larry Fitzgerald, but their other receivers. But it's in the Superdome. And as a rule, I don't bet against the Saints in the Superdome. Plus, Drew Brees and Sean Payton have gotten back together, and they are making that magic happen in New Orleans again. I'm going with the Saints, but this should be a very exciting game for anybody. Chargers-Titans, and what could surprisingly be a very good game. The Chargers have shown some moxie the past couple weeks, and the Titans are looking good. They lost on that overtime goal, field goal by the Texans, but, I mean, they're looking good. That defense under the tutelage of Greg Williams is aggressive and attacking. Chris Johnson looks rejuvenated, and Jake Locker is being asked to manage the game more than make plays himself and is doing an okay job. I still think they're going to need another quarterback down the road, but he's not costing them any games right now, which is the key in the NFL, not to lose games. You can get by just by playing soundly. You don't always have to be the Colin Kaepernicks or the Aaron Rodgers that week to week have to carry your team to victory. The Titans have got a good team, and at home, I like them to take the Chargers. As I said, Phillip Rivers has been showing some moxie as of late. I don't think he's going to keep it up. So, we're going to go with the Titans on this one. Lions versus Redskins, another one where I'm going home team. Redskins get their first win of the year. They haven't been running with RG3. If he gets a little bit more mobile, that accuracy is going to come back. It's going to open up stuff for his receivers, open up lanes for the running backs. And quite frankly, the Lions, they just don't have my confidence yet. They make too many mental mistakes. They can't get the job done. They've got a boatload of talent. They just keep shooting themselves in the foot. And until shown otherwise, I can't put too much faith in them. I like the Redskins in this game at home. Giants at Panthers, again, home team. Giants have been looking horrible. In the first 2 weeks, Eli Manning has thrown 7 interceptions. You're not winning games when you're throwing 3 to 4 picks a game. And Cam Newton, he just continues to put up stats. I mean, despite his great play, they play just well enough not to win. Well, finally, they get a win. This win won't be enough to save Ron Rivera's job. He's going to be gone at the end of the year. But I think the Panthers pick up a good victory. Colts at 49ers. Man, talk about a game changer. 49ers were heavy favorites. Then the Colts went and got an offensive weapon like Trent Richardson to add to their team. Now, on short notice and a short week for Richardson, he's probably not going to be used fully, probably going to be minimized in the passing game and for pass protection. However, it should be a little bit more of an exciting game, but 49ers at home, coming off an embarrassing loss to the Seahawks, they're going to be out for blood. I like the 49ers, and that Colts defense is not good enough to stop Kaepernick. Seattle's was. Indianapolis's is not. The Jaguars Seahawks. Do I really have to say my prediction for this? Really? I mean, let's face it. The Seahawks are going to crush the Jaguars. I mean, it wasn't bad enough that the Jaguars have to play the Seahawks at all. They have to play the Seahawks in Seattle.
Because here at Globo Gym, we're better than you. And we know it.
Yeah, this game will not be close. And it has got the largest betting line that I've ever seen. I told you, I'm not a gambler, but I like to look them up. The Seahawks, as of right now, are 19-point favorites over the Jaguars. 19 points. Now, a lot of you are saying, oh, that's huge. That's too high. You know, any NFL team should be able to cover 19 points. Just remember, the Jaguars lost their opener to the Kansas City Chiefs 28-2. That